All right, guys, got some absolutely gigantic breaking news here for you. A federal court has stepped in and said that Trump doesn't have the power to impose tariffs unilaterally. So, this is something that we talked about in the early days of him putting the tariffs in place, that many people speculated, obviously correctly so, that I don't think this is legal. You can't just do tariffs on like literally every country in the world on a whim. You can't just decide I'm going to tariff every country, and then when people ask why, you say, "Oh, it's a emergency." Like, really? What's our emergency with, I don't know, fill in the blank with whatever random Slovakia, right? Like, it seemed absurd at face value. It seemed like a massive stretch. Well, now, as I said, a court has stepped in and basically said the exact same thing. So this is in ABC News here. They say, in a sweeping opinion, a 3-judge panel of the New York-based Court of International Trade struck down President Trump's global tariffs as, quote, contrary to law. The judges found that the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, which Trump used to enact his tariffs, does not give him the unlimited power to levy tariffs like the president has in recent months. According to the judges, Congress, not the president, has the authority to impose tariffs under most circumstances, and Trump's tariffs do not meet the limited condition of an unusual and extraordinary threat that would allow him to act. Quote, because of the Constitution's express allocation of the tariff power to Congress, we do not read IEPA, that's the law he used to try to impose them, to delegate an unbounded tariff authority to the president. We instead read IEPA's provisions to impose meaningful limits on any such authority it confers. So, responding to the ruling, the White House spokesman said this. He brought up the trade deficit. He said, quote, it is not for unelected judges to decide how to properly address a national emergency, adding that the administration is committed to using every lever of executive power to address the crisis. So, Trump effectively made the argument that, the trade deficit is the emergency. But he also goes on to prove on a regular basis he doesn't really know what a trade deficit is, and he certainly doesn't understand how it works. Like, he seems to think trade deficit equals bad. But, at the examples people have given is like, I have a trade deficit with my local grocery store. I went and paid $100 and I got some groceries. I have a trade deficit with them, but I got the groceries. So it's not like, they're stealing from me or something. No, I got something out of it. They got something out of it. And it's the same thing. You could have a trade deficit with a country, but the trade is mutual and it's beneficial to everybody, right? And he doesn't look at it like that. He just thinks a trade deficit is bad because it has the word deficit in it. But the court is functionally stepping in and saying, you can't just call something an emergency if it's not an emergency and try to change the global economy on a whim with one stroke of a pen. Like, what are you talking about here? So they continue and say the Trump administration has already filed a notice of appeal to challenge Wednesday's decision. The case now heads to the United States Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit, where they can ask for a stay of the order. The Court of International Trade issued the decision across 2 cases, one filed by a group of small businesses and another filed by 12 Democratic attorneys general. So this is a huge deal, man. This is a huge deal. It's what I think most people who know the law, I think most people thought this was going to happen. The problem that we've been dealing with is that Trump will do something, he'll act on it immediately, and then the court system has to play catch up, and these things have to be adjudicated. And so it takes time. And so in the meantime, he gets to destroy the global economy, destroy our economy, and do it nonchalantly. And then you have all this fallout. This doesn't just hurt us economically. It also deeply hurts our relationships with other countries when it comes to other issues, foreign policy issues, etc. And so really, the irony of it all is you can make a case that the tariffs are actually the emergency, right? Like, it's not like the tariffs are saving us from an emergency. No, the tariffs actually are the emergency because the tariffs have led to, our relationships deteriorating massively. It's led to investors fleeing the dollar all across the world, which of course sets it up so that eventually the dollar will no longer be the world reserve currency and the U.S. economy will be absolutely cooked. So I mean, again, huge deal. It kind of, honestly, this case kind of reminds me of what all of the judges have been saying about Trump's destruction of the Constitution, destruction of due process, destruction of habeas corpus, kidnapping innocent people and sending them to a concentration camp in El Salvador. Like, you can't do that. You can't deport a 4-year-old American citizen with cancer, which is something they did, right? You can't, arrest a judge on a whim, start arresting Democratic politicians that you don't like for bullshit reasons. All of these things are absolute assaults on the Constitution, assaults on checks and balances. These things are obviously illegal. Just like I told you guys with the Doge bullshit. That was obviously illegal. The world's richest man illegally hacking into the Treasury, stealing everybody's data, and deleting whatever funds he wants to delete on a whim, like the anti-scam police, the CFPB, like pediatric cancer research and NIH funding. That's obviously illegal. The world's richest man can't usurp the power of Congress and the president, and that's what they were effectively doing. And so there's a reason why over 90% of the recent court decisions on Trump's stuff they've ruled against him. They've ruled against him over 90% of the time recently, because this stuff is clearly and obviously illegal, laughably so, wildly unconstitutional, which is why even the Trump judge in Texas ruled against Trump's Alien Enemies Act deportations. He was like, this fails in so many different ways. We're not at war. This has only been invoked in the past when we're actually at war, right? And then you say, we're at war with Tren de Aragua, but then you deport people who aren't in Tren de Aragua. You can't do this. This is not, no, fuck no. And so that's why Trump judges are striking it down. So this will definitely be appealed. It'll definitely go further. But it's kind of crazy now because, again, what happens now? So they say, you can't do this. It's wildly illegal. Again, they appeal it. They'll try to get a stay on the decision, etc. But you get the sense that it's are they actually going to listen on this one, right? They could kind of hide to some extent whether or not they're abiding by the immigration decisions. I feel like they can do some of those things quietly. You can't do quiet global tariffs. That's not a thing, right? So are they going to abide by it? Are they not going to abide by it? Is this going to make it so that maybe the rest of the world realizes that Trump's power is effectively waning and he's not going to be able to do some of these maximalist things he wants? Can it save relationships we have with the rest of the world? I don't know. But I'm really happy they made this decision. All I'll say is they should have fucking made it sooner, right? And we really need to put a fast lane in the court system. And all these cases with the crazy shit Trump is doing, let's say you got to sort all this out within 3 weeks, right? You need that in order to prevent absolute chaos and economic calamity and a market crash, right? So huge deal. Tariffs effectively struck down. Definitely something that, you could see coming, but also sometimes it feels like he's already done so much with the tariffs. Is a court really going to be bold enough to say all of that was illegal? Well, we have our answer, and the answer is yes, and they're 100% correct to do it.